What's up, guys? So our next question is going to be from Boii Boii, who says, don't want to ask this question again, but how did you search up stuff like Tor and growing stuff without being on a list? Like, is there a special search engine? Did you do it on another internet connection or what? If you're wondering why I'm so paranoid, a relative of mine, let's see, this isn't a question. And how did you sell all that BTC without being questioned? And if you received cash, how did you transfer it to your bank without being watched? Tor is not illegal. Neither is growing stuff. So I think probably one of my favorite, things as far as growing stuff when we're talking about mycology, or growing mushrooms, was a guy named RR. And if you look for him and you look for mycology, you'll end up finding a bunch of his videos are on YouTube. Great site. I think it's like shrooms.some, but amazing site. I learned a ton of stuff from him. That's really where I learned the majority of what I know about hallucinogenic mushrooms and growing them and stuff. So the second part is definitely like books. I know it's wicked old school, but the Cannabis Encyclopedia is basically like one of the only books you're ever gonna need to buy for the production of cannabis. And he details a lot of stuff in there, not just about cannabis. He details how to make hash, how to make edibles, how to make alcohol infused edibles. He shows pictures where you can look at and you can start to learn and teach yourself how to differentiate different deficiencies in plants or diseases in plants. So it's a book. It's like $70. When I bought it, it was like $70. That was for the hardcover. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. And him as an author, basically all of his books are gold. I grew up studying all of his books. And the last installment was the Cannabis Encyclopedia, which again, like I said, it's absolutely phenomenal. So as far as a special search engine, not really. There's so much stuff that's already out there. If you're worried about searching the clearnet, for example, use startpage.com. If you're worried about searching the darknet, which doesn't really make sense, but if that's something that you're worried about, there's always not DuckDuckGo. I don't think that actually indexes the darknet, but Torch definitely does. So those would be the search engines that I would check it out on. And as far as being on a different internet connection, yeah, when it's possible, absolutely, you should be. Even if it's just it's like you hopping on a good VPN that you bought with crypto, or whatever it is. Just those. It doesn't have to be that, but just good OpSec would be that. I would not use a VPN in conjunction with Tor. That's one thing I wouldn't do. Even the Tor project themselves say it. I see these gurus on Udemy or however you pronounce that site. That give this advice to use a VPN with Tor, and it aggravated me so much that I'm creating a masterclass for Tor while I'm doing this documentary and finishing writing my book. I have a partial cold right now, and it's probably just because of stress. But I have a lot of projects that I have going on right now. A guy puts that out there having no clue what he's talking about, and it can cost someone years in prison because they listened to some buffoon, and I have a problem with that. So that's why I'm creating a masterclass for it. And as far as another internet connection, yeah, I kind of covered that in my talk, where I used a Yagi, which is a long range a Wi-Fi antenna, to use a neighbor's Wi-Fi network connection that was he's a mile away. you know, obviously ethically, if you can avoid doing that, you know, do that. Like, you can always probably hop on the library Wi-Fi. 9 times out of 10, that's open. Not a lot of people from, like, in my area have open Wi-Fi anymore. So most likely you're gonna have to crack it. And like, I don't advise doing that, you know, disclaimer, because at the end of the day, it's a crime in itself. How did you sell all that BTC without being questioned? And if you received cash, how did you transfer it to your bank without being watched? So I never transferred it to my bank. Had I transferred it to my bank, I would have sent it through my corporation, my LLC that I owned at the time. And because that LLC dealt in services and not goods, I wouldn't have to show receipts for things bought and things sold. I could just claim it as a service. You know, someone paid me X dollars an hour to, you know, provide a consultation to them and claim it like that. It gets tricky because sometimes you have to, you know, say who it is that paid you. So, it would have been a whole nother thing, but I found it just a lot easier to, if I did get cash, I would use it for, you know, like basic things, you know, whether it was food or rent or whatever it may be, that I needed, you know, kind of those life expenses, is what it covered. The majority of it is what it covered. And then aside from that, the other way, I would cash out BTC would just be to, you know, buy narcotics and have them sold locally, at a very much a discount. Locally, it'd be a discount, you know. So for me, like if I'm, or just example, I'm cashing out $100, right? Like I'm going to be able to get a lot more for that amount of money on the darknet than I am in real life. So no matter what I get, I would take it and I would front it to someone local and I would make a profit on that. So even my cashing out, I would make a profit on, right? And that's how I tried to maintain that business model of like, no matter when I move money, I made money on the money that I moved. The exception to that was like, obviously when I exchanged the cryptos from Bitcoin to Monero, you know, like, you know, Bitcoin to Monero, and back, you know, because you pay a fee, but you pay a really minute fee, in comparison to like a lot of the stupid, you know, Bitcoin tumblers and all that nonsense, that exists, you know. But like alternatively, you also have, you know, local Bitcoins. I mean, you have a ton of different ways. Then you have Bitcoin exchanges that don't implement KYC, which like it exists. You know, if you Google it, you'll find a couple. There are a lot of options, to be able to do it. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I hope that answered your question, boy. If it didn't, just drop me a comment and make the question a little bit more detailed, or, you know, tell me what I didn't explain right. All right, thank you guys. Have a good day.